stay tuned. Those of you who have ideas or who have relationships with banks, charter operators, please let me know after this meeting, and we will then talk about getting these banks in to speak to our roundtable. So without further ado, I would like to present Lydia Zypotek. Is that right?
It's actually
Zypotek. And she will be presenting information to us on professional development for principals. And the reason why I actually asked for Jesus to find a presenter was because we know that there are so many changes with regard to STAAR that we really wanted to make certain that all of our charter operators knew and had access to services for professional development here in Harris County. A lot of us use Region 4 in our educational service centers, but again, we have this resource here in Houston that I'm asking and encouraging us to take advantage of while we're here on their campus. So, Lydia, will you come?
Turn around. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. As Steve said, my name is Lydia Zypotek, and I'm the director for the Alternative Certification Division here at Harris County Department of Ed. And this morning, we're just going to take a few minutes, because I know we have lots of folks on the agenda, to talk about our Alternative Certification Division and what services we provide to the community. So we are a state-approved educator preparation entity that certifies initial teaching certificates as well as professional principal certifications. So I'm going to talk about two of these programs to you. You received a little folder in there, and inside the folder we have included some information on both programs. On the left side, we've included information on the principal certification and the principal or administrator professional development opportunities. And on the right side of the folder, you have information about our initial teaching certification options. So I'll talk a little bit about the principal certification and professional development, and then we'll close it off with the teacher certification. So we have a principal certification academy that allows individuals who already have, that would work?
It might be easier to pick it up in the camera.
In the camera, okay. I just flip it.
The switch on top.
Is that
There's a switch on top if you need it.
switch on top? Does that work now? It's not. So we'll put this. Okay. So as I was saying, our Principal Certification Academy allows individuals who already have at least a master's degree. They have to have at least 2 or 3 years of teaching experience on an actual valid teaching certificate in order to apply if they want to get their teaching principal certification. And the principal certificate obviously allows that individual to serve as an administrator in a public school setting. That also works for assistant principal, if they want to be a deans of instruction, deans of students. Those are the kinds of administrative certification positions that require principal certificate. So our academy is kind of unique. It is a fast-paced, condensed 10-month opportunity for them to get certified and receive their principal certificate. We are in the process of just right now recruiting for our next academy. Each academy starts in September and it runs through June. So the 2014-2015 academy recruitment is just beginning, and you have a flyer in there that describes the upcoming information sessions for our academy. Will start in January. The recruitment with an expectation that we'll have a cohort for the September start. So if you have any teachers on your campuses that are good material for administrators that you want to sort of grow and let them develop, that might be a wonderful opportunity for them to do that. In addition to the items in this section, I've included information about the minimum requirements, as I mentioned earlier, and the unique features. So in addition to that being a 10-month intensive preparation program, we meet on the weekends. So that makes it very convenient for individuals who are already practicing in the field. Once a month on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we have you. And that way they're able to complete the certification process within 10 months. In addition to that, we also offer opportunity for professional development for individuals who are already city principals or assistant principals or administrators. And we have an institute that we have developed called Facilitative Leadership Institute that will allow those individuals to hone their skills as administrators. I'll have Jeanette Miguel. She is, let me introduce Jeanette, I'll do that earlier, who is my grants development manager. There it goes. And she'll just take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit more about the Facilitative Leadership Institute professional development opportunity.
So we're really happy to share this with you. This is a 5-day institute. It will roll out over a 2 to 3 month period. And this particular workshop is built around the effective leadership research that has come out of the Wallace Foundation. So all of this is research-based. Wallace has spent the last 10 to 12 years actually researching effective principles. And so that is the core pillars of this particular training that we're rolling out. So it's around facilitative leadership, but the foundation piece is out of the Wallace research. So we wanted to really be sure and showcase that. It would be appropriate for principals, for assistant principals, for teacher leaders, for teachers that you have on your campus that you see emerging as leaders. And so those are the folks that I would strongly encourage you to really think about sending to this. It's great if you have a team of people from your campus so that when they go back, they're not working in isolation. It's also possible for us to customize a session just for your organization, just for your school, just for your district. So that's another thing to consider if you really wanted to roll it out and have all the leaders in your charter school system or all the leaders on a campus. So we could certainly do that. So
And that's the flyer that I described.
Okay. So this is the flyer. We will have those dates and be available to announce it in the next month or so. We're working on the calendar dates now. And so if you're really interested, we have our contact information at the end, and it'll also be advertised on the HCDE Tuesday bulletin.
Thank you, Jeanette. And the other piece that I want to talk to you about briefly is our initial teaching certification program. So if you have teachers on your campus that are not yet certified, this is a wonderful opportunity to get them fully certified and have a Texas teaching certificate. Our teacher certification program runs about 18 months, and that includes pre-service preparation as well as internship where they're actually teaching full year on probation or certificate. We offer a variety of certification areas. We have the elementary certificates, generalist, EC6, bilingual, and ESL. We also have middle school certificates, English, math, science, and at the high school we do English, math, science composite, and life science. Those are certificates we offer. We also offer a special education certificate that goes together with the generalist EC6. On the right side of the folder, you have information about the upcoming sessions. So we are starting to recruit for our next cohort, which will begin in January. So on the flyer, you'll see some dates. The date, if you have anybody interested, come in and get some more information about the application process and how to get into the certification, as well as we included a couple of informational items that describes the program. One of the unique pieces about our program is that we are recipients of the U.S. Department of Education Transition to Teaching Grant, which allows our individuals, our students, once they start teaching, to receive double benefits from the grant. They would receive some financial reimbursement for their certification process. 75% of their fees will be reimbursed. And in addition to that, they will be supported through professional development for 2 additional years after they get certified. So they get support over a 3-year period through professional development, sustained monthly professional development that's paid by the grant, so it doesn't come out of your pocket. And that's a pretty unique feature because actually we are the only certification program in Houston that offers it to all individuals that want to join the alternative certification program.
So upon completion of the program, they are eligible for the grants, financial support?
They will actually, once they get to the internship phase, they're still in the certification process, they can join the grant, and at the end of their first year of teaching, they will get a third of that reimbursed. So they'll get like 1,200 years of $1,200 reimbursed. It's not years. At the end of their second year of teaching, they'll get another 1,200, and at the end of their third year. So it's also a retention piece. It allows to make sure that those teachers are staying on your campus. And all of the charter districts qualify for the federal definition of high need districts, because it has to be, they have to work in a high need district and a high need school. The high need school would be a Title I school, but the high need district is another piece that's part of that requirement, and all of the charter schools meet that requirement.
And so one of the grant requirements is that they stay in teaching at a campus that's in a high need district for 3 years.
That's
So
their commitment.
that's to your benefit, because they've already made a commitment when they accept that job to participate in the grant, that they're going to be there 3 years.
And the last piece, and I don't want to take up any more time, is we do offer some additional professional development for the teachers that you may already have on your campus. We have some workshops coming out that will help your teachers prepare for a couple of certification exams. If you have any bilingual teachers on your campus, there is a new law that went into effect as of September 1st because of 83rd legislative session that said that all bilingual teachers must pass the BTLPT exam, which is the Bilingual Target Language Proficiency exam. It's a language exam that's part of the certification process. In the past, that was not a requirement to get somebody hired on a probationary certificate, and they could have taken that exam at some point down the line before they get fully certified. That is no longer the case. So the state has given school districts about a semester grace period between September and December to take care of anybody you might have that's bilingual that have never passed the BTLPT exam to do that, because all of them have to pass by January 1st. And so there is a flyer that describes, we have an upcoming training to prepare those individuals for that exam, the BTLPT exam. There's only one testing window that's left. It's in November because it's a specialized exam, so they don't offer it every single day. It's only during a particular set of days, and there's one left in November. So if they do not take and pass that come January, then you cannot retain them as a bilingual classroom teacher because they have not met that requirement. So we're offering training for that. And the other one is if you have any teachers that are pursuing maybe a generalist, elementary generalist certification, one of the requirements is for them to pass the generalist exam. And we have an upcoming series of workshops to prepare them for the generalist exam. It's a huge exam. I don't know if you've looked at it lately. It's greatly expanded beyond what EC4 used to be. And it has many components, everything from the core subject areas like math, English, social studies, and science, to additional pieces that you're supposed to teach at the elementary level, such as PE, music, art, theater, health. What else is missing there? That's it, 5 additional subjects. So we offer either a customized full-fledged test preparation, or they're looking for a particular strand from that test to prepare. These are some options that they can use if they would like to. That's all. Are there any questions? I'd be glad to answer any questions that you have. Yes?
Do you have the packets? I think some of us.
Oh, yes, we do. I'm
referring
sorry. We
to
have a
them.
couple of, yes, I'm referring to packets,
Thank
and we have some folks that not have packets.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We'll pass it on to the next.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you.
Lydia. We appreciate your assistance. May I introduce Dr. Pitre to us, to our roundtable. Thank you so much for joining us. I think Dr. Pitre presented to us maybe once last year. I think you attended one of the meetings? Yeah.
Can I ask the two people on the end over here to humor my eccentricities by moving down just a little bit? Because I'm going to be teaching, not telling. So it means you're going to be participating, and I'm going to be looking in your eyes to see if there's understanding. And yes, thank you for humoring, and truly that's humoring my eccentricities. Okay. First thing I have here, and Lydia, there's a handout, and here are more, remove them. And these are cards for questions, so you just need one of those. And it might be best if I kept one of these. Jesus invited me to do this because actually I would tell you until this year, I was an expert on the accountability system. The accountability system is a mile wide and a mile deep, and I was a mile wide and a mile deep. Well, now you know they changed things. So some of you may know more than I know about this. But I thought I'm just going to start at the beginning, because if this turns out to be something that you would like to have a piece of each time, the best place to start is at the beginning. So I don't have these slick and glossies, and how do you eat an elephant? And trust me, the accountability system is an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. Now, if you've not printed this, and I printed this for myself, it's on the website. You have the link, you just don't know it yet. But I would print this accountability system, and I would read it if you've not already done so. Okay, and this is going to be a little bit of a participation phase, because I'm going to show you how easy it is to understand the first level of the accountability system. When TEA is talking about student achievement, oh gosh, and some of you are already GT and you've turned to the second page. It's okay. When TEA is talking about student achievement, what are they talking about? It's one word. Are they talking about the achievement test you give your students? No. Are they talking about the course, the test that you give them at the end of the course? What's the one thing they're talking about? TOS. That's all student achievement is in this. Okay, now, when they talk about, and these things, I sort of want you to get them in your mind. When they talk about student progress, what are they talking about? Go ahead.
Either growth, progress, or regress.
Yes, they're looking at progress or regress on what? On what? On the TOS. I mean, this is focused right at the TOS. And now, I'm sorry. You see, thank you.
They should do that on purpose,
You see, I told you
I was like, TOS.
Excuse me. I saw him shake his head like, she's not going to be any good at this. This is the blind leading the visually not impaired. Now, let's talk about growth. I'm going to real quickly tell you this. When they're talking about growth, they are not talking about a student growing a year. If a student is below grade level, they're talking about the student progressing more in a year. Because when students are below grade level, when they grow a year, where are they still? Below grade level. So that's the TA is looking at student progress. Okay, now, when TA talks about closing the gap, They are still talking about STAAR. They're still talking about STAAR. What does closing the gap mean? Anybody? Or bashful?
Is,
Go ahead.
when you're looking at your economic disadvantaged children and your at-risk and making sure that they're meeting the standard as your, those that don't have those stumbling blocks. That's
Absolutely. And are you closing the gap that so low SES, African Americans, Hispanics, whites, the groups that they designate, are there not any gaps in their learning? Okay, now turn to the second page. Now I'm very egocentric about the numbering of pages. I always hand number my own pages, so you're going to see the numbers down here at the bottom. So when I say look at this page, look at my numbers. Okay, so we are now looking at the accountability system on page 2. We've already discussed the student and check. Look at STAAR 1. And I love to use stars. And I don't know why on this microphone is aggravating me. Okay, so we've got this down. We know student achievement is STAAR. And look at STAAR 2. And you can take as many of these as you want. That's student progress. Did they grow more than a year? Okay, go down and look at STAAR 3. Did you close the performance gaps? Now this is all part of accountability. So hold these definitions in your mind. Now the last one, I didn't ask you this question, what does post-secondary readiness mean? Because, you know, some of you know because you have high schools, but I see STAAR 5, STAAR 6, and STAR 7, where I've handwritten it in for you. They're looking at your graduation dropout rates, your recommended high school program, DAP, graduates, and your STAAR test again. So when they are doing accountability, they are looking at all of this. Remember in the old days, primarily for elementary schools, they just looked at the test. But they're looking at all of this. Now, elementary schools do not have to worry about STAAR 4, which is the index.
Not this year.
Not this year.
But next year.
See, there are people, thank you. And if you know more than I know, you jump in, because it won't take a lot to know more than I know about the system. I want you to look at 2014. I have boxes. This box is STAAR 8 and STAAR 9. And I just said, where are they going next year? So you can see that they're slightly higher. And so they're going to go there next year. Okay, now we're actually going to have a little bit of fun, I think. We're just going to learn to read this. Now, for example, I believe the lady on the back row probably could teach this page. And others of you have someone in the building who can teach this page. But we'll run through it because I've got to assume that you can do this before we can really talk about the accountability system. Okay, first of all, look at STAAR 1. You will notice I love to make my own stars up at the top. And I just put yay. If it says met standard, it's a happy day. Yes. Okay. On number 2, in LaPorte ISD, they met the standards. Remember, we just talked about student achievement, progress, closing the gaps, post-secondary readiness. Now, underneath all of this is a lot of statistics, but you really don't necessarily need to know the statistics. You need to know what it is and what you're aiming for. Okay, so LaPorte ISD, STAAR 2, they met all of those. Now I want you to go down to STAAR 3. Now this is just a visual of how LaPorte ISD met this. You had to, on STAAR 3, Index 1, they had to score 50. So you can see that little line that shows they're above 50. In fact, they're at 80. So they're in pretty good shape when it comes to student achievement. Now go over to the next bar. level 2, or index 2. The target, you have to have at least 21, and they have 37. So they're in pretty decent shape there. Now, closing performance gaps. They made it, and it was not by a hair, but you know, there's not as big a gap between 55 and 70 as there are some others. So if I were in LaPorte ISD, and by the way, I'm using it because that's where I was 10 years ago, and I'm familiar with the district. So I would be looking at that going, uh-oh, the students who have not been scoring well, we didn't make enough huge leaps, even though we met the standard. And then post-secondary readiness, 75 is the standard, and 84, and you see how tiny that little bar is above what's required. So I would be looking at that. Now, you have to have more than this to figure it out. You know, you have more information, but at least you go, oh, better look at that. Okay, go down to STAAR 4. You see those numbers, 80, 37, 70, 84, those are the same things that are in the bars above. And they're just, it's another way of telling you the same thing. I guess they're trying to reach all kinds of learners. Okay, now, system safeguards. Look over at system safeguards, and it's right next to STAAR 4. Performance rates. This is system safeguards. I'm going to define it for you at the bottom, and I know you can read, but I'm going to read system safeguards at the bottom of page 3 to you. It's to ensure that poor performance in one area or one student group is not masked in the performance index. You can find this on page 68 in the accountability manual. So no longer will a school district say, darn, if just one more Hispanic child or one more poor child had passed, we would be recognized. Because now they're putting it all together. But these system safeguards, they're wanting you to know if you might have a problem. And I want you to look at where I have written in issue under performance rates. It's 38 out of 42. It means that they did not meet 4 of the targets they were supposed to meet in performance. If I were going to guess what those targets were, the targets would probably be African American students and poor students in this particular district. It'll be different in every district, and I'm only guessing. But, you know, they have met the standard, but you need to look at it all 4 of these. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. We're going to look at KIPP. So I wanted you to be able to relate to this because it is a charter school and you look just like everybody else. So, met standard, yes. And you can truly breathe a sigh of relief when you see the met standard. And you can see STAAR 2, they did all those 4 things on that first page. And you can, in STAAR 3, you can see that they have some pretty good gaps between what they need to do and what they're doing. So they don't particularly have an area that I would go, oh my gosh, I better really look at that because I could fall below the level. Go to STAAR 4. You can see the same thing, same index scores as in the chart or graph or whatever. Okay, now let's look at their system safeguards, which is over by STAAR 5. And do you see where I've written in issue? 35 out of 36. So, KIPP has one safeguard issue. I don't know what it is. KIPP, you know, we'd have to delve into it to see what it is. But it's about a subpopulation. And that subpopulation did not meet the standard. So they're wanting you to know that you have somebody that's not meeting the standard. But one child is not keeping you from being accredited. Okay, now let's look at page 5. Now, this is an alternative school, and actually this is, I didn't put the name on it, it's actually a charter school. But the alternative schools, they have to meet the same, they have to meet the same standards on student achievement, student progress, or the criteria. But the criteria is different. They have lower standards. Look at the target score, STAAR 3. They only have to have a target score of 25. Now quickly flip back to KIP. They have to have a target score of 50. So what you see in the alternative ISDs is they have a lower standard that they have to meet. And in this particular, I call it alternative ISD, they met all of those. But go to the system safeguards. They have 2 issues. They have 1 issue with performance, 2 with performance, and I don't know why I put that one by. Scratch that out. The second one is incorrect. I was asleep.
Yeah, you counted the 2 issues.
That's what I did. Thank you for that. Yes, there were 2 of them, so I put issue twice. That's exactly what I did. It probably is what I did accidentally. Okay. Well, now let's look at some other schools. We're going to look at Goodrich ISD. You're going, why the heck is she looking at Goodrich? A friend of mine now works in Goodrich, and he's actually the high school principal in Goodrich. So I said, okay, let's find a school, and up it says improvement required. And you go, oh no, what do I do? What is the problem? So you go down and you look at the standards. The students are achieving adequately for this. They're progressing adequately. They are closing gaps adequately, but they are not reaching post-secondary readiness. And I'm sure that my friend Bill is just beside himself about that. And of course, remember over on the first page, I tell you what they look at for post-secondary readiness. Okay, now let's go, we're going to go all the way to system safeguards on this one. Performance rates. He does have an issue there. There are 3 groups. You see it's 14 out of 17. There are 3 groups of kids that aren't really meeting the performance rates, but his score is high enough that, or their score is high enough that they're above. Now, I'm going to go down and show you graduation rates. I have no idea why there are question marks there. Or, I mean, not question marks, not applicable, because it is applicable. Students in Goodrich ISD graduated from high school. There are students in Goodrich who graduated from high school last year. So you may find something like that on your accountability report. If you do, you need to know why it's not applicable. I didn't research it, and I didn't go down deep. I probably could have picked up the phone and called Bill and said, why is it NA? But I didn't. But when you have an NA, you need to know why you have an NA. So Bill has, or the Goodrich ISD, because this is the ISD, they have 3 things they really, really need to look at in addition to post-secondary readiness. Okay, let's go to the next page.
I have a question.
Yes.
Back on the one that you called alternative, is this an alternative accountability or an alternative school that's a charter school?
It could, yes. But I just have, let me tell you how I picked this alternative school out. I didn't have to go looking for one because Jesus made copies. I have them somewhere down here, and I went, oh, there's an alternative school in here. So I just pulled it out.
So it was a behavioral campus, not an alternative accountability per se, because there are charters that are open enrollment schools that are higher at risk. and
Right.
they qualify for an alternative accountability rating. That's what
Right.
I'm asking. And there are alternative schools that probably get the alternative rating that are behavioral
I
campuses.
don't know, and I can't remember which school it is.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, you will know if you are an alternative school and you operate under this, you will know it. I can't definitively answer your question. I'm sorry.
But let me ask you this,
Uh-huh.
piggyback on her question. It says here that it met the alternative standard.
That's
So
right.
the next standard is what's used if you.
That's
are
right. You say
rated
yay. I should have put yay beside it. It's
Okay.
like,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm good, I'm in good shape.
Okay.
In terms of the state. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have work to do,
Right.
but,
Right.
you know, you're in good shape. Okay, I'm turning to page 6. No, I'm not turning to page 6. I'm turning to page 7. And I call this, I'm not going to name the school district, I'm calling it a huge elephant, ISD. The improvement, STAAR 1, improvement is required, and not just a little bit. I mean, if I received this and I were the superintendent, I would just go, oh my goodness. Okay, they only met the standard on student progress. All those other standards we talked about, student achievement, closing gaps, post-secondary readiness, they didn't meet any of those. And let's go all the way down to system safeguards. Look at this. They only met 28 out of 53. So they have a huge problem. Now this system safeguards is a good place for you to start looking for your problems. If you don't already know them. By now, you probably know what your problems are. We're just sort of learning to read this form. So this huge elephant, I mean, they're gonna have to eat this one bite at a time. Okay, now, on page 8, and I'm just gonna talk from here. Initially, when Jesus asked me to do this, I found a PowerPoint from TEA. And so I said, oh, I'm just gonna use the PowerPoint from TEA. What better thing to do? And I went through the PowerPoint, and it was before I read the accountability manual, and I went, I have no idea what this PowerPoint is telling me. And I thought, I better start over, or I'm not going to teach anybody anything. And for some of you, I probably haven't taught you but one thing or nothing. Others, I may have taught you a lot. But what I decided to do was give you TEA's partial presentation. For example, on page 8, the Performance Index Framework. Now let's go back to page 3 for just a minute. Just hold your hand there and look at page 3. Do you see those two clouds that I have? Performance Index Report. That's what they're talking about. Now, I'm not going to read this to you. You already know everything that's on these pages. We already talked about it, and now when you go back to read them, it should make sense to you. If it didn't before, maybe some of you didn't have as many problems as I did. Okay, on page 9, we talked about student achievement, and we made it simple. It is STAAR, TOS, STAAR. And I have to make fun of myself. And they do give you more information than I gave you. But essentially, it's STAAR performance. So that's student achievement, you have that. But if you want more information, right there, page 10, student progress, it's simply more information about what they're looking at. But you already have the big picture, and I'm confident many of you have the little picture too. Okay, on page 11, closing performance gaps, they very definitively tell you how that happens. And page 12, again, is closing performance gaps. Page 13, post-secondary readiness. Now, I did see a pattern, although it's with a small subset, that more districts were having problems with this post-secondary readiness than anything else. But remember, I did not look at all 1,100 school districts. It just seemed to be that that was a pattern that they weren't meeting that. And then, on page 14, these are the resources and the websites. Now, again, you have to print this. If it didn't cost so much money, I would have printed it for you. But if you don't already have this, you need to print it. And I wouldn't tell you you need to read every word of it, but after the presentation today, I think I hit the very highlights of it. And I went an inch deep, and I wouldn't say it's a mile deep, but I would tell you I went an inch deep, and it's about 25 inches deep. So you'll get farther there. And then I started to give you the frequently asked questions, but it was like, no, TMI. I'm only trying to teach them the basics of the accountability system. And trust me, I know, I keep saying this, but I want you to know that I know there are people sitting out there who know everything I just told them. Then there are a couple of other websites that may be of assistance to you. Now, you have some index cards, and you can just hold on to them, and you can give them to Jesus when the meeting's over. If you have other questions or would like, other short presentations on something about the accountability system, let Jesus know. We can put that together, we can talk about it, and we can continue to eat the elephant one bite at a time. Or you may have already eaten the elephant one bite at a time. You've been in the trenches, and it's like, I'm full. I have eaten it. I don't want any more. You're right. I'm tired of elephants. So the cards are for that, and that way we won't come back, or Jesus won't have me come back and do something that you might already know, or well, I don't think you were bored. Everybody looked interested. And I appreciate these people moving down so I can see their eyes. And I thank you. And I actually enjoyed doing this. Thanks, Mr. Messer.
Thank you. So we caught up on time. Yes, sir.
Just one question, as a point of information, probably for you or others here. Are there other schools that received an NA in any of those for us, other than high school, other than the post-secondary?
Yes, I saw other NAs. By the way,
Well, I mean in here, because you told us we need to find out, and I wanted to know if I can get to the record.
I'm going to pass these around, and you just pull yours out. I think I did see some NAs. So
we included 2 reports on there. One was the accountability report, and also
that you just saw.
The other one is the first report from last year. The most recent one is not out yet, but we gave you the first report because you need to use it as a reference from as the new one comes in, whether you met the financial accountability standard as well. So you may want to start preparing for that as you go along. So we printed those by charter, so they're in there.
I probably shouldn't separate these, but they're by alpha order, and I'm going to start one over here and one over there. Just pull your school out. If your school's not in there, it means it's going to come back around. It's in here. And you're going to see what we just went over.
Thank you again. We
I'm
appreciate
sorry.
it. No problem. Thank you. Just remember to use your little index card if you have additional questions. Before we move forward, we are so appreciative that Ms. Michelle Adams from BBVA Compass has joined us. She's just coming by just to say hello, but Michelle will be working with us at our next meeting to sponsor our next meeting. I just want Michelle to say hi. Michelle, I don't know the department in which you work. Just can you tell us that?
Community Development and CRA.
Community Development and CRA. So Michelle will be joining us at our next meeting, and BBVA Campus will be sponsoring our next meeting. Thank you so much for coming, Michelle. Thank you very much for your partnership with charter schools. Thank you very, very much. We're going to move forward with the agenda, and we're going to have Gayla come on up and talk to us about the grants that we have here at HCDE, and we'll move throughout the agenda. Thank you.
Let me get hooked up a little bit here. My name's Gayla Rawlinson.
Oh, I muted you, Gayla.
Oh, you did?
Hello?
My name's Gayla Rawlinson Maynard, and I'm here to talk about our Center for Grants Development here at Harris County Department of Education. Some of you may have worked with us before. Why I'm excited and why I'm so glad that I was invited to come tell you a little bit about our services, that we now have some services available to you at no cost. That's the best part. I started out with that because you can actually see it on the information here. So I'm very excited. We're offering, hopefully you get the packet here, all these services. We are doing regular daily updates of funding announcements, of school, district, teacher grants on the website. And I'm so glad this is set up so I can show you where to go. You go to Center for Grants Development, and you go to funding announcements. And where I have a development associate and myself and other staff regularly research funding opportunities, and we post these on the website. Now, you still have to look and determine whether or not it's appropriate for your district or your teachers, if they have certain, they're part of certain groups and memberships and things like that. But we want to make sure you have those opportunities available to you. So we do a lot of that research for you. In addition, we can actually review requests for proposals. So if you have an RFP out there and you want us to look at it and say, hey, let's look at doing a grant feasibility review. Is it as a team, for your grants team, can we look and review that RFP and determine if it's appropriate for you? If you've got the match, if you've got the collaborative partnerships, if you've got all those pieces that you need to have in order to apply for that funding. I know a lot of times it's just having those pieces available and having that resource to have somebody else look at that opportunity and help identify what some of the barriers might be, restrictions. You don't want to go down that path and get some money that you can't implement the program. Seen organizations do that before. So this is a way to kind of help you through that process. So we actually work at analyzing that funding guidance. Let me also show you, some other information on here. We offer grant writing training, and we offer it here as webinars or as face-to-face workshops. We also have, we can come to your sites and do some on-site training for your staff. We do all different types of sessions. They're usually up to 4 hours. We typically right now are doing 1.5 hours. We're going to be at VIPS conferences. We're going to be, in professional development days, just coming in to do a small session for the teachers on how to write a teacher grant, or do a letter of intent, some basics of grants, how to research funding, those kind of things. So that's some of the stuff that we're doing. But these are just a list of some of the webinars and workshops that we offer that are available. You should have a list of those as well. Those are at no cost to any of your staff. Harris County charters. And we offer those on a monthly basis. All you have to do, and I think I have the information, is call Martha Silva Frack, 713-696-1393, and get the discount codes, and then you can register online. But we're all offering it to whoever wants to participate. We have kind of capped out on our webinars, I'd say 10 to 12 people, because it's too hard for me to keep up with more than 12 people on the webinar, because, you know, everybody's talking, chatting and stuff, or at least submitting their questions and things like that. But other than that, or other sessions, you know, we can, you know, we haven't maxed those out yet. That's just some information about those sessions as well. We also, just a little of this, can work with you on coaching of grant staff, if you have grant staff, or other staff, mentoring. Now that for me requires a little bit more intimate, deep relationship that we develop with the charter of the district. So what we do there is we enter into an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. And then we'll go through, okay, this is what we can do, you know, because I always say I can't take anybody on the regs, but I can teach you to fish. You know, and I think that that gets us to a better place, and it maximizes all of our resources. So we actually work with grant staff or grant teams. Sometimes organizations don't have staff that run grants, and help them through the process of applying for a grant. So if you want to enter into some kind of agreement with us or an understanding with us, then you contact me, and I have cards that I'll pass those out. I shouldn't drink coffee, my throat's getting sore. You'll also see in your packet. Sorry. Feedback. Okay, off. Because I'm off. We also have a list of grant consultants. So for those of you that might need consultants in the community to write grants, then there are those available in the community, and we can make referrals for that. And we also have descriptions as to each of our staff. You should have also in your information got to meet the team as well. So any questions? Just call me.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm in the back, and I don't do well in the back. Go
Yes.
back to the free services.
all of these things listed here are no cost.
Okay. Which one is that?
All of, it's the service descriptions.
Okay, right here, okay.
Yeah, service descriptions. Well, actually, the training schedule is also,
Okay.
any workshops, any webinars, anything like that, you just need to call and get a discount code.
So this is true?
Yes.
Some of us were tardy and we didn't get those guys.
Oh, the handouts? I think they're outside. Oh, they may not have it anymore. Yeah, we put them in the packet for business services. So, but we'll get you those. Also, I have cards, and so if you want to get in touch with me, I have information on here. Let me pass them out. I can explain it further.
So again, do you have another colleague that works with you? Or
I have, oh yes, I have 5 additional colleagues, and I have 4 that do like the workshops, Dr. Vita Avery, Joyce Akins, I have Charbonne Pipkins, I have Kiana Nurini, Martha Crowd's our support, and so we have several people that work on these projects. We're getting a lot of requests, as can be expected, so I'm hoping at some point we have a waiting list. Yes?
Another question, if I learn of a grant through Target like that, and I need your assistance, do we do an MOU with you, or how does that work?
If you need our assistance to like coach you and mentor you through you applying for that application, then you would enter into an agreement. If you just need us to review it, and that's all you want is a proposal review, or you need us to look at the funding guidance and help examine that guidance, analyze that guidance, we can help you without an MOU. It's only if we're going to have a long-term relationship. We usually do a year-long MOU. Where if you wanted to come back to us with something else, then we already have you as a service charter within our system. Yes. Correct. So if, say for instance, you've applied before and you weren't awarded, you you've gotten your reviews, then we can walk through and say, this is what we saw as well.
What's the average turnaround time on something like that?
It depends on the complexity of the application. I'd say 5 days if you're applying calendar days. Just to make sure, say for instance, a complex grant, it could be 100 pages. It takes a little bit of time to get through that. And we document everything we see and on what page it's on and things like that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Tell me about some of your success with grants that you've been instrumental in.
Let's, oh, excellent. Okay, I
just made her day.
I know, totally, including our work with nonprofit organizations as well, we're over $300 million in new monies that have come to organizations.
Wow.
And that's in the past.
This year or that?
Oh, no, it's over a long period of time, not every year. That would be a little bit over the top. No, it's 15 years. But HCDE alone, I have to talk about this, as a result of work that the divisions have accomplished, and we've been part of that as well. I mean, it's just over $400 million in the past 15 years that they brought into the Harris County community.
In your department?
Well, I always couch the fact that it's a collaboration. We work as grant teams. It's a team approach to grant writing. So it's a whole team of people that pull those proposals together, as it should be in instances, if you're looking to get the bigger dollars. So that's a great question. So we're like at 253 million for the past 15 years of new public and private grant monies. And we do both public and private grants, and we write both public and private grants. And I also have to say, just because you're not successful once, doesn't mean that you don't want to look at the application again, make those changes, and reapply. Because, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times, or 4 times, to figure out what the strategy is and what the federal agency or state agency is really wanting. Sometimes they don't always make it so clear. But this, of course, is no charge to you, so that type of thing. So any other questions? Is that it? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, since we were talking about free stuff, let me talk a bit more about free things. Today, we are very fortunate to be a champion with us, Mr. Jaron Bargenet. Some of you may have already worked with Jaron over the past year, but I mean, his program has totally helped our school, and I wanted to personally introduce Mr. Bargenet and give him an opportunity, and then we'll move on with the agenda. Thank you so much, sir.
How's everybody doing? Good. Well, I won't take too much of your time, but I just wanted to come and I guess talk to you about some free things. Free is always good, and we actually we've been very blessed as a nonprofit organization in the area. We've been doing services with charter schools and public schools since 2001 in the area. And recently, there's 2 programs that we've been very fortunate to partner with. One of them is one through the Department of Agriculture called the Child and Adult Care Food Program. CACFP is what's also known as, but it's through the Department of Agriculture, where we can actually go into schools and provide dinner meals for the students in the schools. It's really helped out a lot of charter schools. We work with about 16 charter schools in the area, and also district schools as well. We service about 55 district schools currently, and we have a pretty long waiting list, but as you guys know, with the government shutdown, we're kind of moving pretty slowly just because we want to make sure that our funding is going to be secured. The program is completely free to schools. You have to be an at-risk school for us to be able to serve you, but we can actually go into a school and we provide you with a full-time staff member that works on the campus, that handles all of our inventory controls, all of our meal production records, all the menu planning, works with the school to make sure if there's any functions going on that we can actually help take care of that as well. We also work with any kind of community partners you guys might have. So I know a lot of schools have some community partnerships, and we try to bridge those gaps as well. And I'll show you a couple websites where you can kind of access some information as well on that. In addition to that, we also provide funding to schools as well. So schools that we partner with, we actually give the schools what we call mini grants, but it's really just a contribution to the school in several areas that I'll point out as well, but it's in the areas of STEM. You guys might have maybe some food projects, nutrition projects, or students who might need uniforms for your school, backpacks. There's funding for that. There's also literacy funding available that we can provide you guys with. The other thing that we actually have that I think that's a big plus is we also have access to some after-school dollars as well. So if we come and do a meal program for you guys, a lot of times we're able to help offset the after-school program cost, and at times even come in and provide a program for you, maybe a couple days a week at no cost to you because we're already providing a full-time person. So there's a couple schools we have that partnership with as well to provide that. I'm going to show you a couple website links that you guys might have. And then I'll give you my information at the end. We're online, right? Did we get on?
Are we online? Yes.
Okay, if you go to squaremeals.org, it's the Texas Department of Agriculture website, which is www.squaremeals.org. You can actually read all about the program. And then when you click under programs, you just go to Child and Adult Care Food Program. That's actually the program there. If you read about that, that'll tell you everything about the program. And actually, when you read it, you'll find out there's way more than what I'm explaining that you guys have access to. And we're actually an approved provider of the program through our sponsorship. So that's something that's really important for you guys to take a look at there. So squaremeals.org. And if you go to www.bachamp.org, the letter B, the letter A, champ.org, that's actually our website. And you can actually read all about our organization. But if you want to, let's see. Okay, so if you go to, I'll go back out so you can see it. Go to www.bachamp.org and you click programs on our website. If you scroll down here and click right here, it's our RFP for the meal program. This tells you everything about our meal program. It tells you how to apply. It's completely free. There's no cost to you guys. Matter of fact, we'll even help you put together the paperwork because obviously we're serving your campus. And then, as I mentioned, there's funding we provide to the schools. Look on the last page, you can actually see the various different levels of funding. We have a field trip funding we provide you guys with here. There's a literacy funding right here. There's art. If you guys have an art program, you get that kind of funding. There's science and math, so there's STEM funding available. And then paying it forward, that's for clothing, backpacks, food, and other incentives for your schools. And again, the program is completely free. We get reimbursed through the Department of Agriculture. And that's actually how we are able to provide the meals to your school. As far as the funding for these grants, that comes from some of our local funds that we have. So our TDA reimbursement is utilized to actually provide the meals for the students and provide a safe environment for the students after school. And then the additional funding that you guys would get, that comes from our local funds that we have from some of our partners and other collaborative resources. So I just wanted to share that. I have some cards with me if you guys want a card. I know a lot of friendly faces here, so that's good. But if you all would like for us to maybe help you guys out, partner, if you have a need for just meals for your students, after school snacks, if you guys are doing tutorials, if you have an after school program, you just need meals there. Some of our campuses, we serve up to 1,800 meals a day, and some as small as 60 meals a day. So it really just depends on what your campus, how your campus is set up. Okay. Does anybody have any questions at all about that? Yes,
I have two questions. First question, you said it's for an at-risk school. Is it at-risk or economic disadvantage?
It's considered 50% more free or reduced. So if your school is more than 50% free or reduced, which should probably be everybody in the room. Actually, almost every school in Houston pretty much qualifies. So if your school is more than 50% free or reduced, then we can provide meals to any child that actually is in that campus. We don't need income data on the parents. We don't need to. It's a very simple process because they're going to your school.
Okay, my second question is, due to the government shutdown, for the food program, do you have different days that you're still accepting applications?
Yeah, we're still accepting. We probably get 3 or 4 a day. Now, as far as accepting new schools and starting. It just really depends on when the government goes back in. The schools we're currently serving, we're actually serving them through the end of this week, and then we're going to see how it works this week. What they released on the website is that all funds basically through October 1st will be reimbursed to us, and then after that it's going to be kind of unclear. Just kind of doesn't surprise you, right? So what we've decided to do is we're just kind of slowing down, and then hopefully they'll get things together in the next week, and if they do, then we'll just resume back services. But we already have the staffing in place. We have all of our food partners in place, and there's some schools in here that are already doing the program. So it's a pretty easy program. It doesn't really take any administrative support or a whole lot of administrative support from the school then, because we try to take care of everything on our end. And we provide, like I said, a full-time person, but also additional sometimes 2 to 3 staff that actually help pass out the meals to the students and take care of all the program data. Yes, sir.
That August 9th deadline is not applicable.
Okay, so the August 9th deadline, all the schools that applied by August 9th, actually, I'll use this term, they were guaranteed funding. So they all received funding if they applied by August 9th. The schools that applied after, some have received funding, some haven't yet. But if they applied by August 9th, they did receive funding. There is a strong chance, I'll just say this, if you guys are partnering with us, we're gonna partner with the schools, okay? So, but this August 9th deadline, as far as applying for the program, that does not apply. You can apply at any point. And also there's the page, just so, because I know there's going to be questions.
Well, then I have another question.
No, go ahead.
Okay, now, you said the August 9th, how about the additional funding for the,
After school piece?
not the after school, like the field trip piece?
I think that's what he's referring to, because here it
Okay.
says,
Yes.
right here, August 9th?
Yes.
Okay, so schools that apply by August 9th, they receive up to $10,000, or they will be receiving up to $10,000 worth of funding. Schools that apply after, we still, because it's coming from our local funds, we still can provide funding to those schools.
Okay.
But the ones that apply by that time, they receive funding.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All
I
right.
just wanted to clarify.
No. And then actually, just to give you guys another page, reference page, let's see. It's only 4 questions you have to answer. It's very simple. Let's see. Page. Okay, right here, page 3 of the grant. It mentions if you guys wanted an after-school program, okay? And it has some cost information there. If you have no interest in us running your after-school program, there's no need to even really reference this page because the program is completely free, okay? If you wanted us to come in and actually run the full program for you, provide all the staffing, that's a reference page for you. But if you have no interest in that, if you're just doing tutorials or you have another grant like 21st Century or something you're already running, disregard that page because some people get confused at that. So it says optional, and again, there's no need to, that page is not really pertaining to you guys if you're not interested in after school program forms. Okay? Are there any other questions at all? Good deal. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I am the proud recipient of the grant, so I mean, everything he's saying is actually true. So we're excited about that, and I'm hoping that this will be a good resource to some of you who are like most of the charter schools in our area that are kind of struggling here and there. He also has his business partner, James. James, would you like to? This is James. He's also with Be a Champion. Thank you for joining us today. We thank you so much for the presentation. And to those of us, as he stated earlier, who are participating in that program, it has been a definite benefit and a plus to us with the food services. Thank you. And also, James and Be a Champion, and of course, Jaron, they've helped us with PTO meetings. So guys, I mean, when they say they're partnering with you, they are really partnering with you. I mean, they sponsored our very first open house. We had a big Italian night. Thank you so much, Be a Champion. We appreciate your partnership. Thank you very, very much. All right. Moving on through the agenda, we're doing very good on time. I think lunch is coming shortly, so we'll make certain we're moving quickly through our agenda to ensure that we get lunch on time, we can get you back to school. Our next presentation will be from Michael Robles from the Center for Safe and Secure Schools. Is Michael? Okay, Michael, come on up. Thank you for joining us today.
is starting to set up the information for you. Let me tell you a little bit about the Center for Safe and Secure Schools. We have 25 school districts that are members of the Center for Safe and Secure Schools, and this year we're extending the membership to charter schools. Now, school districts generally pay a high premium for being part of the membership. So what you will see is quite a reduced cost to the charter. Hill's going to go over some of the benefits of being a member of the center. Also, we'll talk to you about emergency operations plans and what the center can offer to charter schools.
My name is Michael Robles. I've been with Harris County for 8 years now, and now I'm with the Center for Safe and Secure Schools. What you're getting passed out is going to be, first of all, this small handheld paper here is going to be an informational use of our information and what we offer, and on the back here is our current members, and inside it has our contact information. So if you had any other questions regarding the center, you could definitely contact any one of us. Inside, of course, is a response card. If you have any questions after today's little presentation, comments or suggestions, you can leave it on this card and I'll collect it at the end of the meeting. Currently, right now, this is what we're offering. So this piece of paper here has a number of services that's currently being offered by the center. And also, you should be getting another piece of paper shortly that will actually outline the pricing of how we came up with the different prices for our members. And basically, I'll wait for them to hand that out. So basically, what we're offering here, the new tool that we're offering for the center is actually called eRIP, which is an emergency response information portal. And being part of a member with us also gives you access to this portal at additional cost. And normally I know for charter schools, you don't have that large of a student base. So of course the prices are reduced based upon your needs and what you actually have. The price for eRIP is dependent upon how many actual site locations you have. I'll pull up the website here and kind of briefly explain what's being offered. Basically, if you were to get access on this portal here, you have 4 different modules to choose from. You have the assessment and the audit portion, which is actually assisted through the center. You have here the resources portion. You also have the site data, and you also have the emergency plans. Basically, the emergency. Is that better? Okay, so basically the emergency plans that we have here, after clicking on the different link there, you'd be able to set your own emergency operation plan. And of course, if you became a member, we would assist you with that process. We would basically sit down with you on a face-to-face basis, determine what your needs are, determine exactly what your facilities capacities are, determine exactly how big your facilities are, and go from there. Basically, if you were to get access to this website, first on the right-hand corner there, we have the map. Once you put in all your locations in the map, or in the actual database, they would come up here, and you can actually zoom in, zoom out, to give you a better picture of what each charter school has as far as your resources or your sites. Clicking on the emergency plan, if you were to be a member of the center, once it loads, you'll see we've actually uploaded for all of our member districts a template. So the template goes through a number of questions that we would be concerned about. We have the basic portion of it, and then it's broken down into sections that go into different types of assessments, different types of catastrophic events. Some of these may not apply to you. For example, in Houston, we probably aren't get an earthquake. So all these questions that are here can be adjusted and worked around to see what your basically your needs are as far as the charter schools go. So once you have these questions here, you can adjust them and change them. Basically, the site data is probably going to be the most beneficial. I have a template here. Let's see. I made a list. So basically, under the site module, if you were to see here, I put one of the locations here as Harris County Department of Education just as a test, but you can put in there your map information so that wherever you are, for some reason, I know sometimes in the panic of things, you're not able to take with you all the different paper copies. If you have a tablet or a laptop, you could access your site information basically from anywhere. And of course, this zooms in and you can see a bigger picture of it. This is just HCDE, the outside I have on here, the different streets that connects with it. And basically here on the right-hand corner, if you had more additional pictures, for example, you wanted the rear side or the side view, you could put additional images there to basically give you a whole analysis of where you are. And if there was an event, you could see, and also the partnering agencies could also see where you're at and try to get you assistance. This portion here, this is the assessment side. So if you were to go with safe and secure schools, if we did an audit at your facility, this would be the section here. Of course, there's not one currently, where you can see, let me see. I think we might have one already. Those are just a few questions that if we were to go ahead and audit your facility, that would be asked. And it's pretty extensive. I can go down and show you every single question, but you probably don't want to see that. But if we were to do it, this is where you'd be able to see your assessment. And at the end, you can actually download a PDF copy of the whole document, which is actually pretty neat. Ends up being, let's see. But if you also go ahead and open it, you can download it at any time, basically, and that's for every single site that you currently have. So the other portion of the website here is going to be the resources. If you had different documents you wanted to store on here, you can put on there, for example, under the library, we have here all the current assessments that we did for the locations. Under the courses, that would be, as far as your charter school goes, you could put on there, for example, if you wanted to do like a fire drill, you could list that data information in there. If you were going to hold some sort of training session, you could put that in there as well. And all that would be stored and stayed in there until basically forever, unless you wanted to delete it at some point in time, or let's say it got canceled, well, then you could delete it at that point. Also here is the library where it shows the help menu. Or you could actually get this manual here that I printed out, and it'd be able to show you step by step of how you wanted to, of what you wanted to do, whether or not you wanted to add a different assessment, whether you wanted to add a different site, whether you wanted to change different permissions. Because what we would do is we would set you up with one user account, and then on your end, you could actually assign, if you wanted to give somebody else access, you could create a user for them and only give them user site information, or you can give them only read access to where they won't be able to change any information. And that would be up to you as far as how you wanted to assign that access. We also have a section here where it has the pandemic information, where it shows you different resources. For example, we uploaded here the family preparedness checklist. We also put on there different flu information, the H1N1 pandemic and seasonal influenza, and you can definitely store any of those documents on this website or total. So basically what we wanted to do was to create a one-stop shop so that you wouldn't have to go to multiple different places in order to get something. You could store everything on this website, and anytime you needed to access it, you could access it and get everything at once. I think that's one of the most valuable things about it, is that you don't have to be searching around different places. And if you have a tablet or iPad, or you can even do it on your laptop, we've created a different outlook for it. So on the go, as long as you have this, you could access it from anywhere. Trying to think if there's anything else to mention. Were there any questions about this tool?
Is this an annual subscription or one?
That fee right there would be an annual fee. And basically, it's just dependent upon how many students you actually have in your facility. The actual fee to use the year system, if you were to be a member, the fee for this would actually be reduced. So we don't charge per the actual student. This one we charge per site. So if you actually became a member, this service would be cheaper for you. And of course, I don't know how many facilities each of you have, but I would estimate for one of the facilities where we had like 20 different locations, I think the fee was no more than about $10,000 for that. But it's access for the whole year. You get the whole package with it. You get to upload whatever documentation you have. If you had a question, we would be the support service for you. And then we would just basically go down, sit with you, discuss what your needs are, and actually be a part of the membership program. You'd be able to tell us what type of training you actually want. Since we deal with so many different school districts, you know, we basically listen to you tell us what kind of trainings that you're looking for, whether it be disaster preparedness, whether it be tabletop exercises. That's something else that we offer. So another big thing that's going on right now is intrudology, which is seeing if an intruder was to approach your facility, what type of steps would your staff need to take in order to make sure that the school is secure, the staff is secure, and who you need to contact as far as law enforcement or things of that nature. Yes, ma'am.
So there's a fee for the training, there's a fee for membership, then there's a fee for each campus.
If you were to join us, the fee for membership gives you access to the training. Now, if you wanted to go one step further and actually get this tool that we offer, there would be an additional cost for that based upon how many sites you have.
Okay. So the training comes with membership?
The training comes with membership, correct. And with that fee, you get the training for it. You get the, basically you'll be able to call us at any moment throughout the day, tell us what your concerns are, tell us what type of trainings you would want, and we would schedule that during, you know, a mutual agreed upon times. You know, if we can get, 50 people to come, then that's the type of training that we'll have.
Did you get the charter access for the charter district access as part of the membership?
Correct.
The overall?
So the overall charter they would get actually access to. I think that the form basically tells you everything that you would get access to. We offer training, certifications, evaluations. We would be actually the lead for this area, so we work with the Harris County Sheriff's Office as far as different responses that go on. Somebody else have a question?
Do you provide services for both environmental as well as possibly hazardous surroundings? Let me say more. Most of our properties in our new campus is located in an area that we need to make sure that it's not impacted by utility easements and other kinds of things. Is that a service that you can provide us?
Basically, any type of disaster preparedness, then we can provide that type of training. And a lot of times what we can do also, we just wrapped up, we have ops boards meetings. And so once a month, you would be able to come down, we'll get like a speaker for those events sometimes. And actually those events will provide you additional resources. For example, the last one we had somebody from FEMA come down and they spoke upon the different aspects of what, I think what it was FEMA was offering us, whenever there's a disaster for this area per se, there's always something where we can actually request federal dollars from the government. And basically what FEMA was offering to us, making sure that when we do submit those documents to the government, that they are put in such a way that we can actually be eligible for those funds. Because sometimes, different language, what we think is one thing, of course the government thinks of it being something completely different. So they came down for our training, made sure that we would be able to put everything in the right order, make sure the language was correct, and just make sure that we would be able to get those funds if something was to happen. And that's one of the people that we had come down just, I think, 2 weeks ago.
Mike, let me add, we have one of our consultants that works with the center is OSHA certified, that can go in and do those kinds of assessments. She provides OSHA training as needed and can do some trainings on hazardous materials, identifying those and classifying. There's a new code for that, and so she's able to provide that as part of the center.
And one of the other consultants that we have has actually been with the Harris County Sheriff's Office for 30 years. He's now retired, and he's actually one of our auditors. So we do have people that actually are from the government background, the law enforcement background, and they're individuals that are successfully trained to be able to offer auditing and assessment services to your campuses or to your charter schools. So these aren't people that particularly come from an education background, they are in the law enforcement area.
The audits right now do not pertain to charters. You're not required to have an audit of your campus, of your facility. It's only for school districts. But as everything is going, if somebody goes into your charter school and there's a fatality or something happens, many times you probably hear legislation about adding charters into the audit facility. Right now there is not a requirement. Only school districts are required to do that. You are not required to have an audit and secure your schools. But it's a good idea to have that. It's a best practice to have and make sure you have a facility that is secure, that has proper access and what have you. And so that's what we do for school districts. And we're right now currently doing, we did LaPorte, we're doing A-Leaf, we're doing Goose Creek. We're working with Judson, College Station.
We're also looking at Spring ISD, Spring Branch.
Right. So, and those are on a cycle because every 3 years they have to have that done. And so right now we're doing on the last piece of the last 3 years, and we're starting for the new cycle. Now, we try to minimize the cost to them and also give you a report that you can later on access to this portal. That way you have the report readily available to whoever you want to have that access to. So it is, it's not something you're required to, but it's probably a good practice to have in place to secure your buildings, your facilities. Having somebody going in there, you have a risk that somebody's gonna come in and, could probably prevent a fatality at your campus. So we offer that service, and so this is the first year that we offer to charters to be able to become a member of the center. So you basically can come in and send up to 2 people to each of those member meetings with the school districts to talk about safety, to talk about those things. And I don't know if you've heard, I think there's a little video about intruderology. I don't know if we have time for that. We had an intruderology training that we provide to all our members. You basically send up to, I don't know how many, up to five people to the training on how to train them on how to, if you have a shooter or an intruder coming to your school, how do you deal with it? How do you assess the problem? recently we had spring night, they had a situation. Well, they had sent some of their teachers and some of their ministers to our trainings, and so they were able to implement some of that training while that was happening. So we have an intruderology training that's available. It's I want to say it's a 4-hour training through the system. I don't know if you have. I think it's in YouTube. It came out on the intruderology training. It's about 2 or 3 minute. If you can pull it up. It was done to one of the local TV stations on the. There it is. Yeah. That's what it is. Like 2 minutes. Go ahead. It's 2 minutes.
We're providing some training to center members from the school districts, local school districts. We have members of different principals, operation managers, risk managers, safety officers, to provide a threat analysis training about how to identify threats, how to identify risk associated with preventing intruders into the schools, and how to handle different strategies on how to handle intruders in the schools.
Can kindergartners want this? Probably not. Should they have classroom doors locked on the inside? Absolutely, they should, or keep their doors locked all the time. Are you guys feeling like you're going to lose it? Okay, he's pulling. I mean, I want each of you guys to tip this to the point. That's good.
It's important for folks to learn how to identify behavior, character that probably could prevent a potentially violent situation. Students that possibly could have problems, or visitors that come into the building, into the school building, that could pose a threat to the school and the students and to the members of the campus. So it's important to do a prevention, to be aware of what's your surroundings, and then be able to implement a strategy to act in case there is a violent act that happens in the school, and how to do that. And so the training is geared to do just that, provide some theories, provide some information, and also allow them to implement and act out in the training session on how to be able to handle those types of situations.
Provided that training free for our members. And the gentleman that you saw there that was doing the training, he has about 20 years experience in law enforcement, and so he created that training session for school districts. So we would bring him here to do those trainings. And so again, we offer that to all our member districts, and now we're extending that to charter so you can participate in that. Now these are a lower cost because it doesn't. We realize that the resources are less in a charter rather than a school district, so we reduce those the cost to participate in all those trainings. Any questions for Michael?
Again, if you have any questions inside, when you flap it open, we have the contact information. So at any moment, you can call us, give us an email. And then, of course, the response card, if you wanted more information, we could send somebody else out to your facility to actually answer any questions, give you a more thorough overview, and just make sure that whatever questions you have, they get answered.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesus. What a rich resource, guys. I've never had the opportunity to see anything like that, intruderology. So I'm thanking you, Jesus. Thank you, Dr. Sawyer, for this opportunity. And guys, I know that we'll be discussing this project and this program as we meet in months to come.